Hello and welcome to the IELTS Coach. In today's lesson, we are going to look at the 3 most common mistakes in writing task 1. And I will also show you how to overcome these mistakes, how to avoid them, and how to do well in the IELTS writing task 1. So the first mistake we'll look at is not including an overview. An overview for task 1 simply shows what the common or easy to see trend or pattern is in the graph or chart. So an overview is important. If you don't have an overview, you cannot score 6.5 or above, 6 or above. You really do need an overview, which is simply one sentence which describes the easy to see pattern or trend. For example, overall, it is clear to see that unemployment increased over the 20-year period, if that was the pattern. So be careful, make sure you give an overview whenever you do writing task 1. My advice is to include the overview in the first paragraph, after the introductory sentence, where you describe what the bar chart is showing. Then the next sentence should be an overview. It is okay, you can put the overview at the end, but if you leave it to the end, it is quite easy to forget it. So my advice is put the overview in the first paragraph. That way you are more likely to remember it. The next common mistake for writing task 1 is not being able to fulfill the word count in the time allowed. So I see students struggling to write enough words, and you do get penalized if you don't write 150 words. So the best way to overcome this is simply by practicing. You should be able to, at home or in class on your own, be able to match that 150 word requirement in less than 20 minutes. The more you practice, the better you will get. The more words and the more accurate you will become. So this really does take quite a lot of practice to get the word limit in the time limit. Practice, practice, practice. The third common mistake for writing task 1 is trying to write about every detail. So in a bar chart or a table, you might have 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 figures or percentages. You don't have to include all of those in your task. If you have a chart with only maybe 5 or 6 percentages, then yes, you could write about all of them. But the important thing is that you write about the important details. The important details are usually things like the highest amounts, the lowest amounts, the biggest differences between two things, the biggest increase or decrease over time. Don't write about everything. If there are 10 different years, you don't have to write about all of them. Write about the first year, the change over the 10 years, and then the final figure. I see students trying to write about everything, and this makes the writing quite confusing. It makes it more like a list rather than a description of a chart or graph. So write about the important details. And once again, this is also comes down to practice. Look at good examples and you will be able to see what details are included and which details are left out. So those are the 3 common mistakes and some suggestions to overcome them. So make sure you include an overview, practice writing between 150 and 200 words in 20 minutes, and write about the important details, not every detail. Now before I go, I just want to remind you that I have an offer for a $1 trial Skype lesson. So if you have trouble with writing task 1 or anything in the IELTS exam, for just $1, you can chat with me and ask me questions about a specific part of the exam and ask about getting more lessons online, chatting using Skype or Google Hangouts. So thank you for joining today's lesson, and I hope to see you at the IELTScoach.com. Thank you and goodbye.